All right, all right. Greetings, and welcome everyone. Welcome to Beyond Boardroom Business. This is your backstage pass to see the person behind the business. There are some powerful people out here that are sheroes and heroes, and sometimes they're not out there everywhere, but they need to be heard and they need to be seen. And I shine a light on these powerful people because hey, they deserve it. So let me tell you about my next guest on Beyond Boardroom Business. With me, Coach Stephanie, your business strategist, your book writing coach, and podcaster. And I just love what I do, so this is why I do it. So let me go ahead and tell you about our guest, Miss Niara Brown. And she has always had a passion for cooking. She has followed her love of food to a degree in culinary arts and food service management with a minor in event planning and international operations hospitality management. Before the pandemic hit, she was looking for a commercial space to host her cooking classes, and she stumbled upon the beautiful world of real estate. Wow. The decline of the hospitality industry led her to pursue a new career path in real estate. And as she worked with her clients on every side of the real estate industry, she noticed that there were some gaps in the financial realm. It made so much sense to marry the two. To qualify for various forms of housing, you need to meet financial requirements. To help clients reach their financial goals, she became a financial and business strategist. Like me, awesome. The travel part is actually just her personal yet profitable hobby, which happens to circle back to her love of food. She just loves to travel. And she has even lived and studied abroad. Wow. And as you take a look at her experience, you will see her journey through this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring on Miss Niara Brown. Greetings. How are you?
Hello, I am well. I'm well. How are you doing today?
I am fabulous, feeling fabulous. That's my name, Stephanie with two F's for feeling fabulous. I have
Oh,
to
I love
say it
that.
for the rest of my life because my parents wanted to spell my name uniquely, but it is what it is. So I am feeling fabulous. Thank you. And wow, all I can say is your bio is amazing. And so, how did you get started with cooking?
Ooh, that's a great question. I always say I got started cooking because I was hungry. Um, it was honestly a Saturday morning. I was like 10 and I grew up with a single mom and she worked she was a teacher, so she always had to be up early during the week, and it was a Saturday morning and I was like, "Hey mom, can you get up so you can make me something to eat?" And she was just like, "No, go get cereal. I'm tired. I'll be up later. I'll cook you something." And I just was not having it. I was like, "I'm not having cereal on today. We're not doing that." And so I went downstairs and I decided I've seen her do this a million times. I can make eggs. I should be able to do this. And so I did it by myself, made eggs. She had no knowledge. She was asleep. I went back upstairs and I was like, "Mom, I did it. I made eggs." And she was like, "You know how to make eggs?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "Let me have some. Let me try it." And she tried it. She was like, "Okay, now go make me some." And so that was that was the beginning of it. It was literally I was hungry. I didn't want no cereal.
How
So
old were you?
I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I just went in
Wow.
there and decided to do it by myself.
And so, did that help you learn to start testing out different flavors? And what brought your love to it?
I always loved cooking and eating because it was like a family thing. A lot of our major holidays, we cooked everything, and I knew the specialties of all my aunts, great aunts, uncles, everything. I knew who was gonna cook and who was cooking what and what I needed to get on my plate. Okay, so it was not like There was no food. And my great grandmother actually was here in Georgia, there's Flint River, and she worked at the Flint plant. She was the cook for the entire plant of
Wow.
Flint. And she had a cookbook and everything. People loved her cooking. And I even met some people recently last year who worked at Flint. And I was like, did you guys ever know my great grandma? And they were like, oh my God, that's your great. I said, yeah. She was there for decades.
Wow,
Decades.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it was that. And so I got into it seriously when I was like 12. When I was 12, I was like, nah, I really want to do this. I was watching Food Network. I'm begging my mom for ingredients she ain't never heard of at the grocery store. I was like, just get it. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. I seen them do it. I saw them doing it on TV. I can do it too. And so that was how it started. Like
Wow.
when I was 12 and I got introduced to Food Network, it was over and it was done. I was
So
cooking.
how did you start taking it outside of the family and selling it?
Oh, when I was like 16. Okay,
Mm,
so not very financially stable, okay, single parent household.
yeah.
Many of my friends were the same, and we wanted to have sweet 16s. Well, we could not afford to have stuff catered. So what I did
Mhm.
was I said, y'all give me the money for the food. I'll cook the food for the parties. So I was cooking for my friends sweet 16s the whole like a whole 2 years. We had rolling sweet 16s. I was doing everybody's stuff. And then my mom was like, okay, you doing that stuff, you doing my birthday. And so at 16, I think I cooked for my mom's birthday all the way to like 25.
Wow.
Seriously, every year, big blowout for her birthday. Because her birthday is July 6th. And 4th of July, always a
Right.
big thing. So we always would do something super huge. So barbecuing. I became a grill master at like 18. So yeah, that was when
That's
I was really getting into it. That was when I started doing it for other people frequently. 16.
And so the you were mentioning about the um, 2020 when that hit.
Oh, the pandemic. Okay, so I had a catering company at that time. It was called the Spice Fairy. I still have a lot of followers on there, but um, unfortunately, the business of it has shut down. But I had that catering company, and I saw how things were going in like February before we shut down in March. And I was like, I need to like kind of liquidate a little bit so I
Wow.
don't go completely broke in the transition that the world is about to go into. And
Hmm.
I thank God for the foresight for that.
Yeah.
And was able to, transition that pretty well and get into real estate. So,
Mm.
with everything, how the world was working, I went down. I did cook for some people, and a lot of elderly people during that time so that they could get food to their houses. But other than that, I was not cooking like for profit. It was just literally like church members, people who I knew were not able to get out and go get food because of their health concerns and stuff like that. That was what I was doing during that time.
So, what made you say, okay, I'm at that fork in the road. I can go any other direction? What made you pick real estate?
Two major things. The first one was there's a lot of story to this, but I'm gonna just start right here in the middle on that. I was
Okay.
living on Guam and I was going to go cook at a country club. I catered an event at a country club. And on my way to the country club, I got lost and I went down the wrong street. And I go down this street that is like terrible. Like the road itself is just terrible.
Mm.
And I see the backs of semi trucks just laid out, down along this street, children running around back here. And I started to look a little closer and like it was their mouths were black. And then I was just like, what's going on? They had no shoes on. I was like, where are all these kids coming from running through this very unsafe area full of like old semi parts?
Ooh.
And I realized that they were living. inside of those old semi parts.
Mm.
And I was like, this is so tragic and concerning. And I was like, I do not know what to do about this. I don't even know like how this is people can live like this. And
Yeah.
so I turn around, I go out of that street, go back to the main road, and it was literally less than a quarter mile down the street, the country club.
Wow.
And that juxtaposition
Yeah.
of that level of poverty and me about to
Yeah.
go do this event at a country club was insane.
Wow. Wow.
And after that, I went home and I was like, how do you live in a ship in the back of a truck is what I put in, I think, into the internet. And then what it brought up was shipping containers and tiny home living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, if you know anything about tiny homes, like that whole industry is not what I saw, but that was what got me on looking at how can people afford housing? How can we get
Mm-hmm.
people, or at least if they're going to live in the back of a truck, how can that be more sustainable? How can that be more livable and to a standard? And that started me down that path. I learned so much doing all that research. And then I was already doing cooking classes, and I was like, I need a place to be able to do these cooking classes from. Because I had been doing them at my house, or I would travel to other people's houses to do the cooking classes at their homes. And I would make sure
Mm.
they had like 5, 6 people that were going to be in the class, and then we would do the class.
Wow.
And that was working out perfectly fine. But I was like, I want to scale. So I wanted a larger kitchen. And as I was doing that, I found out that that's actually a real estate thing. I didn't know it was commercial real estate, but that's what it's called when you need a kitchen
Yeah.
to
Right.
do stuff like that out of. So got into that, started working with some agents, and then this lady, lovely lady, she said to me, you know what? Your personality and how like you handle everything else, you would be really good as a real estate agent. I said, I don't even know.
Wow.
I didn't even know this was a thing until I was looking for something else. So, and mind you, I was renting a house that was $2,450 a month.
Mm.
So I had no idea mortgages are like way less than that. And, we could qualify and no idea because I never lived in a house
Wow.
myself prior to that, growing up how I grew
Mm.
up.
Okay.
So then that was when she brought all these things to my attention that, like, hey, you could be paying way less. You guys can afford to buy a house and I never even knew, never even thought about it,
Mm.
had no idea.
Mm.
And so it was really those two major things, seeing those children living in those conditions, and then realizing when I wanted to expand my business that real estate is also a part of that. Those two things combined, once I saw the world taking a turn, I was like, let's go into this because that really interested me.
Wow. That is powerful. You just never know when that download is going to be received, and then it just sparks, and then it just feels right, right?
Mhm.
You feel like you're going in the right direction because you have a very successful business. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So where were you teaching? What kind of you said cooking classes? How were you teaching those classes?
So my most successful class was actually French macarons. If you're familiar with the cookies, they are some of the hardest cookies to make in the world.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and people mess them up all the time because they're the
Mm,
hardest to make in the world. And
okay.
my class was very unique and very people wanted to take it because I was making them on Guam, which is super hard
Mm,
to do because you need a certain humidity level in
okay.
order to make these cookies. It's not just the ingredients and the technique and all that. You actually have to have the correct environmental
Wow.
standards to make these cookies. And the humidity on Guam is 98%. To make a successful macaron, you need 72% humidity. I
Wow.
found a way to make controlled spaces get to the 72% humidity in order for us to be able to make these cookies on Guam.
You show a lot of leadership qualities in everything you do. Did you know that you were a natural born leader?
I heard it a few times, a couple times. In college, I was the vice president of the National Society of Leadership and Success for my uh, college, and I was also in National Leadership Society when I was in high school as well. But being in it in high school got me to get to the national one or whatever it was called, something else. And when I got to college, and that gave me a scholarship to go to school.
Oh, wow. Nice, nice, nice. So, do you have mentors that, helped you along the way, or how did you, acquire the knowledge that you have now?
Ooh, mentors. Yes, I've been blessed to have a lot of great people in my corner along the
Mm.
way. One of them that comes to mind is my cousin Tracy. How I even got into culinary school was actually coincidentally just her. I was at my aunt's house filling out applications for colleges, and
Mhm.
she said, "Hey, don't aren't you interested in culinary?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she was like, "Okay." She was looking over my shoulder. She was like, "Look up this school. It's called like Johnson and Wales. I pass it every day on the way to work, and they always
Wow.
have like pretty things in the windows of the school." And so I typed it in, and she was like, "Yeah, just apply there. Whatever it is, I'll give you the money for it." And I said, "Okay." Well, the application was free, and I went ahead and applied. I was accepted within like 3 days of it, and it was an out of state school. So I'm a Georgia girl, born and raised. This school was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh.
And I was just like, how am I going to go to school out of state? What am I, how, whatever. And then she was like, you got into the school, I'll take care of everything else.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh.
So that was my blessing. I was able to stay with her while I was getting ready to, in that summer before actually going to college. And she was with me throughout the time. Her and her family really helped me out the entire time going
That
to
is
college.
beautiful.
And so that was one of my great mentors. I would say also, who else? Um, Once I left the realm of culinary, well, not left the realm of culinary, but left culinary school,
Okay.
um, I had a lady who I was in physical therapy for carpal tunnel, which is, if you know what it is, it's a wrist thing, like your carpal tunnel is in here. And what I was having issues with was I wasn't able to hold pans. I was 23 and I just graduated and I couldn't hold pans anymore. And I was like, what's going on?
Wow.
And found out that I actually had carpal tunnel. And if you know anything about it, the surgery, you can't use your wrist for 6 whole months, which I don't know how you even
Oh
whatever.
my God.
So I said, I can't have surgery. We just got to work it out. We've got to do something. So I start working with the physical therapist, and then she says to me, well, how do you think your wrist got this way? I said, cooking. And she said, um, well, cooking what? And so then I talked to her about it. And then she was like, you should start a catering company. And I said,
Mm.
what? And she was like, you should start a catering company and maybe a food blog. And I said, me, a food blog, catering company? I don't think so. And then she said, okay, fine. But next week is one of my employees' birthdays. Can you do da 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 da? And she gave me an order and everything. And then I did it. I showed up with what she asked for, and I made a cake and everything, like birthday cake,
Mm.
all that. And she was just like, hey, you don't want to cater, but you did this for me. And I said, yeah, I did it for you because you're so great. And then she was like, there's a lot of great people out here. You can do this. And so that wonderful lady, she helped me out. She started me on my journey and gave me several opportunities to cater events for her friends, for her family, um and any other organization she was like in tune with. She brought my name up.
Mm. That's beautiful. That's
So
beautiful.
yeah, that was how we got started. And then I got the blog up like 3 months, I think, after that.
Mm.
We were rolling.
Oh, wow. And just imagine how many people you've helped along the way. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be in a leadership position and take it seriously, because you take your positions in life seriously, and it shows, and that's why you're so successful. So with all the things you do, how do you have me time?
Oh, that's a great question. My me time, I think, is derived from me doing either traveling or watching TV shows. I'm a really big like movie and acting kind of buff.
Okay.
I love getting into those things, watching all different types. I will watch foreign films. So that's how I like to spend my free time, doing those things or traveling. I love going different places. I specifically stress cultural immersion. When you
Oh,
go to another country, don't just like go there and then stay in the Americanized parts
right.
of that country. When you go somewhere, you should meet some of the people, eat some of the food from local. If I can find somebody's grandma to make me something to eat, trust and
Mm,
believe I'm always looking for a grandma. Whenever I go to another country, I'm looking for somebody's grandma to give me a plate of food. Because
that's
that's when you know it's gonna be authentic, made with love,
mm.
and you're gonna get the real vibe of what's going on.
You are
So
so right. You are so right. Because I love cruises, and we would always go and get a taxi and have them take us outside of the tourist area. So you're so right. And the food, oh my gosh, it's the yeah. But I am going to look for grandmothers. Thank you. That's a great point. That is really a great point. Wow. So now you, from what I understand, you have the Nurturing Foundation. Can you tell me something about that?
oh, absolutely. So back to real estate, um, I decided that I was going to create a course for people who want to become homeowners that literally have no clue, because I was a clueless person myself, sitting around paying rent that was $2,450. Why? When I found out later that the mortgage on that home was like 1750. But you know, you don't have to be that person is where I'm coming from with that. So the book, which I actually have right here, Nurturing Foundations, the Holistic Home Buyers Course Workbook. This course is going to help you go from renter to homeowner within 6 to 18 months. And if you are very, very diligent and really want to get this done, it can take you from your mom's couch to being a homeowner in the same amount of time.
Oh,
So
wow.
I created this because people just didn't know the foundations. As a real estate agent, even with my mentor that I had, they were like, you don't work with anybody that's not pre-approved. We only work with people who are already financially ready, you know?
Mm,
And I get that because it takes extra time and it takes extra, and this is a commission-based business. So I'm not like getting paid in the conversation with you. I'm getting paid once we close.
right.
So I understood the reason why I was being told that. But what struck me was, if somebody did me like that, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I got, you know?
Wow.
So it takes the extra time and preparation and someone walking you through how this process actually works, especially when no one else has probably said anything to you about this entire industry, how profitable it is. Even as a homeowner, you're just making more money, saving more money, being a
Mm,
homeowner rather than being a renter. That's not even like real estate investment, but it's an investment in yourself to own a home.
yes. Yes.
So, if you take that first step and wanting to be a homeowner, I'm here for you. And I want to show you how to budget, how to actually look at your paycheck, because I didn't realize that people didn't know the difference between gross and net income. So, we got to get to the gross net income. People over here living their life of gross, but not knowing that they only get paid net. So they don't know why there's more month than money. And,
Right. And they usually live week to week. live for the weekend, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it's just lack of knowledge. And so that's good that you're able to help them, because that is sad. That's really sad. If you don't know the difference between gross and net, it's not funny.
Look.
It's just, it is what it is. It shows that people are too comfortable, and they need to, hone in on their responsibilities of taking care of themselves. And they should at least know those basic, essential things. So that's good, because I guess it's just not out here. So thank you.
Yeah,
And
no.
so,
The holistic nature of it is definitely the financial point, but also the mindset shift
yes,
that comes with home
awesome.
ownership. And throughout the workbook, I have different affirmations, different portions of it, and critical thinking questions that you need to be asking yourself to make sure you are properly prepared for what you're taking on.
Um,
Because a lot of things, when it comes to owning the house, you get more responsibilities. So for some people, you might have to do just a tad bit of growing up in this process as well, where you're not looking for other people to solve your problems. You need to be able to solve your own problems. And
mm,
I go through that in this book and give resources on, like, hey, this is who you go to for this type of problem with your home. This is who you go to for this type of problem with your home. And it extends beyond just the closing table, because many agents, hey, I shake your hand, give you a bottle of champagne, maybe a little nice basket at the closing table, and it's deuces, goodbye. And
right.
or they'll call you in a couple of years to be like, oh, how's the house going? You ready to sell? Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, I want you to actually know how to maintain your home, take care of your home, maybe add some sustainable things to your home to
Mhm.
make things easier and better for you and your environment in the long run when it comes to owning a house. So it's not just, I'm here, hey, I'm your agent, and bye. It's, I'm here, I want to be your friend. I want to be able to work with you through this process. I want us to build a relationship. And so that way, when you're done and we've got you into your home and you have keys, you feel confident on taking on this responsibility and holding on to it and maintaining it.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. Um, do you help people get into the right community? How do you figure out which house to show someone according to what community? And what's your take on gentrification?
Ooh, okay, so that's very great questions. So, um, community is so important. I actually have a whole like section on community in the book, because, and I make you do a scavenger hunt to
Okay,
make sure your community is right for you.
awesome.
So, um, what things in your community matter to you? That's something we go into. And so you got to know what you need as a person. But to give you an example, for me, I'm going to need a church that's within 30 minutes.
Mm.
My job, I'm willing to drive up to an hour for, because it's Atlanta. um if I was anywhere else, it would be 30 minutes, but Atlanta, I'm up to an hour for a drive commute to my place of work. I'm going to need a Target, a Walmart, and a Publix within a 10-mile radius of me.
I got you. Okay, good.
Okay, I don't have kids, but if you have children, I'm saying you need to find your daycare, you need to find your after school care, and you need to care about what school district you're in and how to find out the rating for your schools and the
Right.
crime rate of your area. So all of that is in there. Like, we're
Mhm.
going to talk about all those things because they're very important when it comes down to where you will be living. Because when you purchase a home, you want to be there for like at least 3 to 5 years to start really reaping the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to be somewhere where you feel comfortable. Now, in regards to gentrification, and Lord bless it, because on the one hand, you want to see your community look better. On the other hand, you do not wish for your community to be stolen.
Right.
So, the same grandmas, uncles, aunties that live in these areas and they have homes that may not have been updated since the 80s. And
Hmm.
that's because they just don't have the money to put into doing that kind of that kind of thing, where they don't know that they have the money because they don't know about a HELOC, but that's a whole nother story. But you know, it's it's those communities that actually have been established and people have been there for generations that are getting somebody coming in, buying up the house, the value's like 125, they fix it up and now it's 325. And sure, maybe that brought up the value of auntie and uncle's house, but it makes it almost impossible for other people to get into a neighborhood that would be more so like an entry level neighborhood.
Right.
So it's a very concerning thing. And in Atlanta, you see it in the most oddest ways happening, like Moreland Avenue, for example. There are
Mhm.
some very rough parts of Moreland Avenue, but there are just some, I think they are rock built, $600,000 townhomes that just went up in the
Wow.
literal hood.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, okay, Atlanta, I see you. Like, there's nothing else you.
How can we get into those meetings where they discuss it? I mean, they're in those county meetings and they talk 20 years. How do you know how we can gain control of our communities, or is it?
Yes, this is a great question. I'll bring it back to your mentor question earlier. One of my
Okay.
mentors right now, our construction manager for this other organization that I'm with, GLGATL. Um,
Okay.
we have a construction manager. Her name is Erica Baptiste, and she is a part of several organizations within the city that have meetings on these exact things.
Mhm.
They just did a women in construction event because, in March it was, I think, International Women's Month.
Okay.
And so they did a women's in construction event. And at that event, I was able to meet the leaders and decision makers of South Fulton
Mhm.
who are making the decision on if these neighborhoods can come, where they can be placed, and the price points that they're willing to allow. And people are really wanting to buy up South Fulton. Why? Because it's cheap. And then they're about to they have a whole neighborhood about to go up in South Fulton right now. That's a 100% brand new built neighborhood that is going to be 100% rent. No opportunity to buy.
Wee.
And that's the kind of stuff that I'm fighting against.
Okay.
Because if people never have the opportunity, what are we gonna do? Like, we'll never
Right.
be able to own.
Right. Right. And that makes people homeless, and they're getting rid of the money change. You have to have a bank account.
Hmm.
So, so we just really have to be aware of what's going on. Wow. You make a lot of great points. Is there anything you would like in closing to leave with the viewers?
That's a great question. I really feel like one of the things I would like to impart to the people who are listening or viewing is that you can do whatever you set your mind to. Um, if you don't know the path, that's okay. Know what you want, and the vision will come. The people will come into your path that you need to help get you to where you want to go. You really just got to stay focused. And when you believe what you believe, keep it in your heart and keep pressing forward with it. Because a lot of things may come to distract you. But if you keep your eyes on the prize and on what you desire to see for yourself, for your community, for your family, you can get there.
Awesome. That is so true. That is a great affirmation, a great way to start the day after prayer and just to feel inspired because we have to, you know, that's what we're here for. So thank you so much, Nara Brown. I appreciate you. Where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me at Niara Unlimited on Instagram. Same as Facebook. I keep it pretty simple at Niara Unlimited. And then my website is also www.niaraunlimited.com. And my email is info@niaraunlimited.com. So that's how you can find me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a part of this episode. It was very inspirational. And you, like I said, what I learned from you is you just never know when you're going to receive that calling, and it could just change the trajectory of your life for the rest of your life. And as long as it's coming from the calling, from, truly from within, then you know it's sincere and you're going to succeed. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, that was phenomenal. I mean, she was just so sweet, um, and that also helps with networking and keeping your business successful, because you are who you project, what you project, and all she has was what I received from her essence is that she is really willing to help people, and that's great. I didn't feel any negativity, any, you trying to just take people's money. No, she sincerely wants to help people. And I felt that. And I'm going to get that book. So thank you all for joining me with Beyond Boardroom Business. I appreciate you. And please stay tuned for the next episode. And the next episode, remember, it's every Thursday night at 7 p.m. And until the next time, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay curious. This is Coach Stephanie, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your night.